right. Well, welcome in everybody. It is Monday, back to the week again. We got a big holiday weekend coming up here in the US at least. But we're gonna get, some phase of productivity in again. I know we're kind of still a little bit depressed in a way after that winter break, if you're in school or college and things like that. But this is the time to recenter yourself, to get back into the swing of things, and to figure out really with the new year starting, in my opinion, what's next. I've been doing that a lot. I know you and I both, Anthony, we had that kind of reset over the break. We both kind of traveled a bit. I got to see my family. I know you mentioned it went pretty well for yourself. Do you feel like you're a changed person coming in now? Like you have a new sense of life about you?
Yeah, I did when I first got back from the break. I kind of had a week or so to acclimate already from the time we took off um, from the various projects we work on. Came back feeling refreshed. It's just a matter of keeping that mindset up and remembering, for me, like remembering why I do the work I do. Uh, Usually is good enough motivation for me to continue and not get too burnt out.
Yeah, that's awesome. We before you can really, way, 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 way back, probably nobody here knows this or remembers this, but Anthony and I put together like this course and we had this platform on Discord called Ascend. And we talked about like the really key aspects of your being, right? Physical, mental, I think we said financial, spiritual, and what was the last one? There's five.
I think there was like a dating life one. It was like relationship.
Relationship, social being, yeah. So getting yourself straight in a lot of different ways. It's not just getting your money right. Right. That's what most of us are focused on. But I've definitely realized the kind of cheesy saying that goes around, right? That you have to become the person that makes money before you make the money. Otherwise, it's just not going to line up with who you are. Like you can't close a deal if you're not the person that closes deals. So you have to become the person that can achieve that before really any of that starts. And it all starts with like a philosophy about life. And I think that honestly, with how much it's hard to be an entrepreneur because you hear right about how many people are it's being pushed on and how many people like you think that are 18 that are starting their first side hustle have the amount of personal development and discipline and life lessons and experience needed to actually make that success happen. It's very rare that you hit it out of the park, I think. Even if you do, right? I mean, you're kind of just setting yourself up for failure with the next one because you have this, overconfidence about yourself or ego maybe because you think you can make anything successful. Kind of have to fail, I think, right away.
Yeah, failure is a massive part. I mean, it sounds a little cliche, but anyone who's anybody in this world or has done anything great, even if they're not like well known, just like people, maybe like people in your own network, maybe your dad has friends that are entrepreneurs, they'll say the same thing. Like that's kind of the thing. Like nobody got to where they are, even just with simple things, figuring out without learning the hard way, because that's truly like the best and only way to learn in a lot of instances.
Yeah. Yep. That is. And it's like you can bypass those things, but you have to know where to get that. And before we really get into tonight's podcast, Anthony, I have this like stat for you, and I kind of want you to hear it. I was doing research, and this one kind of stopped me. 54% of founders, 54%, over half, experienced burnout last year. So they just quit. 54% of founders last year quit immediately. That's not some like random blog post. That's literally from a 2025 survey I found on real founders. More than half are exhausted and quit just because they don't have the capacity as a person to continue operating. It's not like the finances didn't add up. It's not whatever. The main leading cause is that they just don't think they can persevere. They're run down, they're lacking hope, and the economy sucks now. It's people wonder why, I'm out here building something different, why you're, on the podcast with me preaching about other things, but it's just like the more you fail, the more you realize this is really the only option you have to get out of it. And that's kind of what we're getting into tonight. And with Anthony and I here, I just we're gonna go in together on some of these names. We're gonna drop some kind of uncomfortable truths and talk really about why we're doing what we're doing and what we're building with Altura. Um, so I'll give you a kind of an opportunity to just touch on what I just said, but also I have another question for you. Have you ever used ChatGPT?
Yes.
Okay. So here's what OpenAI really doesn't want to put in their marketing. They came out with this new feature. It's called Operator. Have you heard of that update?
I have not heard of that. I haven't been on chat in a while.
So Operator from OpenAI basically is an agent, a web agent that browses the web for you, right? It takes screenshots of your browser to do so. Continuous screenshots. Like it's basically screen recording what you're doing. Every page you visit, every dashboard you open, every client name or business, a name on your screen. And even if you delete the session, right? If you stop having it record or help you out, the screenshots are still retained for up to 3 months.
Mm.
Yeah, it's crazy. Even if you delete it, right? So 90 days. First, it's what they say is for safety review. Your business strategies, your client list, your financial dashboards, your login information, all of it's captured, stored, and analyzed by an AI. And to be honest, it gets worse, right? In May of this year, I guess last year, a federal judge ordered ChatGPT's company, OpenAI, to preserve all of their conversations on ChatGPT indefinitely. That was court ordered. Every single prompt, every strategy you type, so that way they can review it if cases come up. Even if you click delete, it's archived by a legal hold. So somewhere out there, even if you deleted your app or deleted your account itself, your conversations are still out there, even your most personal ones. That is the truth. They only modified that order in October, right? Slightly. Your right to delete your content and own your data can be suspended by a court at any time. What do you think about that?
That's insane. That's crazy. I don't even know. I just I I know what they're gonna wrap it as, or like what I guess it already was wrapped as, which is like the safety of online users that are interacting with ChatGPT. That's always what they wrap it as. They're like it's some sort of security measure. We've talked so many times on this podcast about every time we gain like what is it like ease of function. What's the word I'm looking for?
Every time they give you some sort of sense of, it's like an accommodation, right? Or they give you ease of access, or they give you
Convenience. That's the word. We trade convenience for privacy every single time, or security for privacy. It's one of the two. It's usually one of the two. That just seems like another prime example, man. Which is just crazy work because like not only do we already have the issue to deal with, which is if they wanted to during the period in which they had your history, as an entrepreneur, let's say you built like a unicorn of a business and you start popping off, get good funding opportunities, they could have taken credit for like a portion or whatever they thought was fair by their $1 billion corporation. So it's gonna be,
yeah.
and they could take their share. But now, like, not only that, but they're keeping it indefinitely, so it's not even within like a window of limitation. It's insane to me, dude. It's insane. It seems like ill intended to me, like at a broad scale. Obviously, like I said, they're gonna wrap it in like, oh, we're keeping you guys safe, or we want to be sure that we can, trace things. It's the same argument for like why some companies want like constant monitoring, like cameras everywhere, or like drones watching people. Like, that sounds like a horrible idea to me, but of course they're gonna wrap it as like, well, crime would go down. It's like, yeah, but the percentage of people that are committing crimes are not the ones that are going to be disproportionately affected. So that sounds ill-intended to me, but call me a conspiracy theorist, I guess, whatever. I don't like that.
So the question then is like, what happened to all of your data? If you guys have ever used ChatGPT and maybe you deleted the account or you switched because you were worried about the privacy, or maybe not, it's still preserved. They call it zombie data is what the term is. You guys thought you deleted it, it's still there. And the thing is, if you're on the free version, the plus version, or even like the enterprise or the pro version, whatever it is, your data is being still used, not just kept, but that zombie data is being used to also train the algorithm. It's learning your patterns and based on you. So as soon as you type something in ChatGPT, you're giving up every right to it. Even though it looks like, it's a private chat, it's your own account, your intellectual property is their product, and you're paying for the privilege. Your good idea, your life-changing idea, it's theirs, like Anthony just said. So does anybody here, I mean, you don't have to like comment anything, but if you're watching, feel free to. Does that stick out as significant to you? And if this is a slippery slope, right? AI is still the Wild West right now. What does that look like in 5 years or 10 years? And how far can they get before it gets regulated? That is my rhetorical question I want to pose out there. It's scary. I mean, what is your take on the privacy stuff?
Like how far before it gets regulated?
Yeah, I mean, like nobody reads the terms of service. Every productivity app, right? Like it's Notion, it's ChatGPT, it's your CRM. They're not just storing your data. Nowadays, they're just learning from it. Google, right? Every search, they're profiling you. Like literally think of a playing card, like a football card that I used to collect when I was a kid. Except on the back of it, it's not, how many touchdowns they have. It's what things do you like to buy? What are your weaknesses? What things do you psychologically give in to spend money on that companies can take advantage of and pull money out of your bank account? What can we target as a weakness to get you to fold? And nobody's reading the terms of service. Nobody knows the privacy policy. Nobody cares enough to know what they've already signed away. And it's usually your privacy. In this case, your intellectual privacy. And to me, that's the deepest form of privacy we have. Emotional privacy is probably just on par with that. But what is your take on in my opinion, the invasion that's happening? And what do you think, people that are watching are thinking right now about this stuff? Like, what do you think are the questions that, you would be asking, or what you'd be concerned about knowing this stuff?
Yeah. I mean, the questions I would be asked, I mean, I've already been asking all these, but it's like, what can I do to stop being monitored? Um, and then two, like, what are your options otherwise? And we've had talks about this too, like coming up with ideas for how to, like there's options as far as like what phone you use for like things that can, because your phone too, like it's not even conspiracy, but like proven fact that if you have like an iPhone, it's also constantly rendering feed from whatever's in the camera.
Pegasus, yeah, they can access your phone from anywhere.
Yeah, they can look at exactly what you got on your screen. So if you're sitting there scrolling, they know exactly what your face. That's what Face ID is. And before, like they thought they were smart with like fingerprints, with like which is still popular on like the iPads. But dude, they have your biometric data now. So like they're going to like it seems like they're going to any extent um to make sure they know and have a profile set for you exactly. And if you think like another on the contrary, like somebody viewing this could be like, oh, there's no way they have like a vested interest in me. I'm just a normal guy. I work. I'm a blue collar guy. I don't, what do they have against it? I'm gonna do like I buy things like everybody else, but nothing crazy. It's like if if the average person like you, I'm sure spends enough per year on like stuff that they either do need or don't need. Doesn't matter what the product is. Spends enough that if they can extract everything they can out of you to figure out how to better market to you, and they took that same mentality for enough people, that's how they make their money. So it's not about like you personally, what you have going on, your ambitions, but they do collect data on that to try to figure out because you are just as important as the next person, no matter how much money you're spending in figuring out how at large they can maximize profits off you as a customer. And that's what it comes down to. You need to understand like every single product, service, software, every opportunity you have to consume was marketed to you, whether you realize it or not. Every Instagram ad you get, like that's like the most basic, obvious example, but it goes even deeper than that to where like, have you ever noticed like if you talk about something around your phone and you'll start seeing ads for it? I mean, that used to be
Yeah.
conspiracy too, but that's now becoming people are realizing that too as like commonplace or obvious. Like it's you're being monitored all the time. That's a scary thing for me. And I still haven't figured out myself like all the ways, I haven't answered that question for myself. What options do I have in my personal life is like the most concerning to me, obviously. But if you're making a considerable chunk of change in your side business, or like if it's your main business, if you're self-employed, if you're one of the members of our community, like that's your livelihood then. Like that's you don't have the luxury of just up and saying, "I'll get another job." I mean, you could, but after all the time, money, and effort you put into developing the thing that's paying you right now every day, you really want that to be monitored as well. So like there's levels to it too, like for your personal, um, and maybe even relational, but then also like your business. And like I said, I haven't figured out the answer to all those questions either, but it's something you need to understand and realize. And even just by knowing that, you can kind of make conscious decisions to either block that out and not allow it, like be on your phone less maybe. Um, or you could use that to not be so influenced by their efforts as well.
Right.
Realize that everything you see is because somebody on the algorithm thought that's what you wanted to see. And as soon as you realize that, you'll start to notice a lot of little ways you can kind of cut back, I think. But yeah, it's crazy stuff either way. You definitely need to understand that.
I can tell how I can tell how smart a person is when I tell them this stuff and their reaction is, "Well, why do I care about that?" Like, I think it's good that Alexa, listens to me because then it helps me more.
You're cooked. You're absolutely cooked.
It's I'm trying to think right now of like what I would I don't because I usually wouldn't even respond to that. I would like that's the point where I just walk away because it's like I don't know what to. I don't think there's something I could say to you to make you understand what the issue is. You're just basically the equivalent of being a sheep. Like you are never going to achieve any sort of control of the things in your life that are controlling you because you just don't understand. You can't grasp what's actually happening. The people that actually win in life are the ones that take control. And to take control, you have to be realistic about what's going on and then figure out how to beat what's going on. So, right? If you don't know that sugar is bad for you, if you're ignorant to that, how are you going to, first of all, realize that's a problem? And then, second of all, develop a diet that's going to not include sugar? You can't because you're not even realizing that sugar is bad for you. Same thing with technology. But the problem and the scary part is the other shoe hasn't dropped yet. Like somebody hasn't used your data really maliciously against you. Wait 5 years from now when you're getting a call from, the girlfriend that you said was the worst heartbreak of your life, saying she misses you and she wants to get back together, but it's actually a human trafficker that's going to meet up with you because they hacked your AI conversations to know that's your weak spot and that's how they can target you. You guys can't see the infinite possibilities that are out there because you just don't understand AI yet. And I do more than the average person. I don't understand it like the engineers do, but I will tell you it's bad. And that's exactly why I dislike AI so much that I did something about it. And that's why we built Altura different. It's an AI platform, which is zero tracking, it's zero data harvesting, because you guys don't put yourselves in situations where you will give up your freedom. Think about it like this. Like if somebody kidnapped you, Anthony, like you could probably, if they tied you up in a room, you could use your brain to figure out, maybe there's like something I could use to cut the rope with, maybe I could figure out when they go to eat to escape the room. Now imagine if those same kidnappers had your AI chats and they trained an algorithm to say, well, Anthony's going to start thinking that as soon as we leave the room, that's going to be his time to escape. And they know what your brain is thinking before you even know it. It will literally be impossible for you to escape because they can outthink you with the same thought process you use. And you can't outsmart it this time. There's no way you have any sense of freedom left. And in that case, it's life or death. Most of the time, it's not, but you will be taken advantage of mentally, spiritually, financially, any way that's a weakness to you. And to me, that's literally, if you're in the US, right, and we're the land of freedom, that might be the most important freedom you have. And it's slipping away underneath your fingers as we speak. And every time you put another chat in, that's why Altura has to exist. I'm going to go one step further, and then I have a question for you again.
Cool.
I made a prediction, and I think in 12 months, so like let's say the beginning of 2027, early stages of it, we're going to start seeing the first major like lawsuits from businesses whose proprietary strategies, right, have ended up in AI's training data. Someone's going to realize that their competitor is using AI and that, is trained on their private documents. And when it happens, platforms like Altura, right, like ours, that we're setting up way in advance, months, years in advance, true privacy first infrastructure isn't going to be a luxury. It's going to be like a safe place for the people that still need AI, but are don't want to be taken advantage of anymore. But if you guys are waiting a year for that, if you're going to be giving away just more than enough data already to destroy yourself. So it's like insurance. You don't want to wait till your car is totaled to switch or to pick up a new plan. You got to do it when the time is still optimal. And again, I'm going to connect that to the 54% burnout stat, right, of over half of entrepreneurs quitting. This is like the hustle culture thing. And then I got a question, and this is where it's leading. Hustle culture creates employees who think that they're entrepreneurs. And it's most likely you that's watching. You're not building a business, you're building a cage with nicer furniture that you pay for. And if you're grinding 16 hours a day for 5 years and you still can't take 2 weeks off without everything falling apart, then you didn't really build a business. You built yourself a job. And it's probably worse than the one you had before with benefits, where you could slack off whenever you wanted and not feel bad about it. So I mean, what do you think of that point right there? Do you think that that's true at all? Do you think that most entrepreneurs trap themselves?
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say, it's usually, like the most common times I see it would just be entrepreneurs that maybe have never, like, had somebody in their circle or their network to, like, kinda show them better ways or better systems to do things. It tends to, like, be common amongst people that go at everything alone, and I don't know, that's not to, like, anyone's discredit, but it's like, let's say you go through the effort, because a common one I think of that kinda just this turns into would be like, I was an electrician in high school. A lot of my buddies went through electrical school, takes 2 years to become an apprentice, 2 more years after that to be a journeyman, 2 more years after that to get, licensed to have your own company. So you end up working for a while, but by that time, you've got enough the skill level, right, to open your own company, and you start doing it. And then you end up working like 12 to 14 hours a day instead of 8 to 10 because in order to sustain yourself, like to be able to get land your first couple jobs, side jobs, putting new outlets or cans or something in somebody's house, like you got to have the material on deck for that. You have to have your own truck. You have to have your own trailer to carry the stuff, ladders, tools, whatever else. And so I don't, I think that some people might end up just continuing to treat this as if it was a job, only they're in charge of like now they're adding on top of the job like managing the business.
Yeah.
I think that it either comes with like maybe if you're doing it right, then you're only doing that for a certain amount of time. In which case, like that's not necessarily to your fault. It kind of has to be that way sometimes. Or you fail to like see the bigger picture and realize that it's not just about the actual work being done. Like there's a lot more that goes into a successful accomplishing business that has a wider reach than just like a few core, customers.
Yeah, you get addicted to like the vision, and then you realize that the actual technical details are a lot more complicated than you think that you're sold on Instagram.
Yeah. So
I mean, I think we both did it too. Like, and I think most people start there. You get addicted to this period where you're doing the 4 a.m. wake ups and the cold plunges, the whole package, and then most of those people will burn out because that's not sustainable unless you're like mentally broken. Like you're like Andy Elliott, right? And you're just like you need a six pack every day, of your life and stuff like that. And that guy's kind of really fucking weird, honestly. But you need like you guys do the things that successful people do without becoming the person themselves. You look at the things they're doing and you're not looking at the why that person does that and trying to copy the reasons, not the actual things. And you guys got to do that. Look at why they're doing it. And it doesn't matter if you're still waking up at 4 a.m. or 8 a.m. You got to have the same why behind the scenes, and the how is usually different. I think that's my biggest takeaway from that stuff.
yeah, I would agree. I like that the difference, the comparison, I guess. Like it's not necessarily um not every model works the same. Not every person's situation is the same. Not everybody's time commitments are equal. If you have kids, that's obviously different too from somebody who's like us or me, for example, dual income, no kids. But you do have to solidify either way, like the type of person you are going into the business model. That's far more important than how it is you get it done. If that makes sense.
Eh, eh, Here's another stat that I had written down. I think is going to mess with a lot of you guys. Creators, right? If you say I'm gonna start an Instagram, account, I'm gonna be a fitness influencer, I'm gonna be a day trader, I'm gonna be a YouTuber. If you are a content creator, it takes an average of 6.5 months at any level on average to earn just $1, your first dollar. That's not breaking even, right? And paying the editors, in paying for the software to edit your videos, paying for lighting, camera equipment, paying for AI to help you write your scripts, whatever it is. That's just to earn $1, 6.5 months. And so you're wondering why over half of people stop. And another stat, 17 months, so a year and a half, 1.5 years to become self-supporting in some way. That's literally just making like, minimum wage, basically doing content creation. If you're actually grinding it out, that's a year and a half of grinding before you guys can even pay bills. The system is designed, I think, purposefully to exhaust you before you succeed. So that way, the people that make it are the people that can be paid for and supported by people with more money. But, even if it's not, Anthony, you've seen the numbers too on like what creators are making. Like, what are you seeing? Do you see any different from that?
I'm not sure I understand your question. You're asking what creators are making. How's that different from? Maybe you need to restate your question. I'm not sure I understand.
Have you seen an example of an average creator start a YouTube channel and become self-supporting in less than 18 months?
Oh, well,
Without a significant, like the average, we're talking about an average person, like without daddy's money, without, a trust fund backing them, without sponsors, truly make it.
yeah, not usually. I mean, you can think of like if you name any of the biggest things you could think of like on any platform, we'll say like Joe Rogan on Spotify, like that dude was doing like basement like webcam, just by himself, like face like kind of how we're doing right now.
Yeah, but for how long is the question? Before it
Well,
wasn't a year and a half.
I was gonna get to that. I'm saying he's been doing that for like a decade and a half before we got to the point where he was like the actual like the top uh podcast on Spotify. So that was just an example, but what I'm leading to is that I've never seen that. I've definitely didn't make it myself in that amount of time, even though I had a year. Um, so I don't think so.
I mean, technically, you're still making it. You and I are still making it. We're just doing it in a different way. I'm not posting and like scripting cinematic YouTube videos anymore. I'll probably go back to that. Anthony will probably go back to that for fitness. But right now, this is our focus. And then eventually, when we have, extra revenue and stuff, we'll diversify that into both building our own personal brands. But right now, we got to put our efforts together in one place where we can make something happen with Altura, because that is always the focus. And then from excess, sure, we'll go create a vlog content. You see like Iman Gadji, doing home videos in his Porsche now. Like he's not, those aren't the videos that built his brand, but now he has the freedom to do that stuff. So it's not like you have to give up on your dreams sometimes. Sometimes you just have to do what makes the most sense. And so here's the thing that nobody really wants to hear. And this is the operating philosophy behind everything that we're building. The harder you chase money and the harder you try to just, accelerate your growth the way Instagram tells you, it just runs away from you faster. The 1% don't wake up thinking, how do I make money today? They wake up thinking, how do I become more valuable today? One is chasing, the other is attracting. Identity always precedes your outcomes in life every single time. Ask anybody that's made it. First, become somebody who creates wealth. Then, be patient, which is the hardest part. And third, watch it materialize. That's not spiritual manifestation bullshit, even though it is real. That's the actual mechanism. You can't fake it. You cannot hack this. You have to actually change. Why are women attracted to men that are entrepreneurs? Why are women attracted to men that build YouTube channels that are self-sustaining? Because they have the patience and the drive to stick around when times are tough. That is why the attraction exists from people that are self-made, because they can show other people that they have the mindset and the actual actions to push through. And that's what, women want, right? It's also what business partners look for when they're partnering up with new investors. It's also what friends look like or look for in each other. So Anthony, I mean, does this like, do you think I'm bullshitting, or does it sound like woo woo to people? Or like, I feel like this is kind of really the only method people can take. It has to start with mindset. That's why I built a mindset course, a while ago on YouTube for people to watch.
Yeah, I so I think people see things like the mindset course, and probably just because it's so widely talked about but not widely understood. And what I mean by that is people probably do take what you're saying is like woo woo, or like, yeah, okay, bro, like tell me how to make the actual money. But it's like, dude, I like you're listening, but you're not quite understanding. Like what we're saying is not that uh it's not like it's become so commonplace to like just say that, but like do you actually know what that means? Like people will sell you courses and be like, yeah, first step is to like change how you think. Um, but genuinely, like the what makes all the difference in like whether or not you actually show up to the things that you need to get done, or like the projects need to be accomplished for your business to make any progress or move forward. That has to be like truly the I don't know. I'm trying to relate this back to how when you and I were pretty big on like the manifestation, or like I'll just give you an example. I have a book in here somewhere that literally like just says a page of like things that are not currently true about myself, but that were really like things that I hoped to be true in like a year or 5 years from now. And it's like example like that, where like I was literally going to the extent of like trying to manifest for myself a way of thinking that I didn't previously have, which was that I started acting in accordance with this persona I've made myself to be, which is that I'm already seeing X amount of figures in my bank account because of the hard work I put in. I'm already seeing myself grow closer with God because of my effort I put into my spirituality. Same thing with my marriage. I'm already seeing success in this area. And I would just literally say those things like out loud, in an effort to like actually conceptualize this thing we say, which is how you think about what it is you're doing. It's not that you need to like be locked in. Like you need to understand if you're gonna say those are just like spouted out things that people are saying on the internet with no actual thought or research done behind it. What does it mean to lock in? I mean, you can say generally based off like the memes, like, oh, really focus and stuff, but are you actually locked in? Like, do you actually know what it takes to lead a group of people that are gonna be like underneath you when it comes down to I'll go back to the electrical apprentice thing. Or what's gonna happen when like you have some kid off the street that wants to come be an apprentice for you? Like, are you gonna be able to effectively lead a crew of people to go and get more than just one house done like wired per day? Or is it gonna be an issue where there's drama in the workplace and people are getting hurt all the time because they don't have the proper training? It's like there's so much more that goes into this entrepreneur thing that doesn't even really stem from like your work ethic or anything like that. You got to utilize those in the first place to develop yourself into a person who can even handle the stress. Um, one of my favorite, it's kind of, I don't know, maybe it sounds cringe. One of my favorite quotes is something along the lines of like, um, don't complain that your plate is full when you're the one who wanted to eat. Where it's like, if you're asking for like all this success and you're praying for that and you're locked in and you're showing everybody that you're hustling stuff, like, do you actually have what it takes to make that something that you stick to for the next 5 years, the next 8 years, the next decade? Like that aren't what you see online as like flexing their rented Lamborghinis and their measly stack of like 20s or whatever, Those people that are actually succeeding or that have succeeded are on such a deeper level, like truly committed to themselves and how they perceive like all the work that needs to be done. It's not like I got this to-do list and I got to do it, but I don't really want to. It's like these people can't wait to get up and get this stuff done because
Yeah.
in their mind they know there's no other option and that's what a person who is disciplined and who is successful does. And that's why they do it, not because it's flashy or because that's how you get to the big bucks. It's like a person who's constantly chasing excellence does that. And that's the main difference.
There's a difference between it being something you do to like fake it. Like there is literally like there's fake it until you make it, but the only really difference is you make it because you fake it long enough that you believe it. Most people know they're faking it, right? So you're not going to see success in the faking it stage. But eventually it's just going to become who you are because you faked it for so long that you've now done Y behavior instead of X behavior. And so Y is the new truth. So it's not going to actually, until it's in that acceptance stage or it's actually formulated into your identity, you're not going to see the results because you know you're faking. And so you're going to still hesitate when you get on the sales call. You're still going to buff up the deal, but that's part of the process. And it's actually the most fun part because you look back at it and you know you went through the tribulations to get there. And I'll just, end this section here before we move on with like a rhetorical question. If somebody followed you guys for 30 days and watched every single decision you made, your actions, your thought processes, would they see somebody become wealthy? Or would they just see somebody wanting to be wealthy? Those are two completely different people. And if it's the second one, you guys haven't committed long enough. It's not that it's a bad idea. It's just you haven't committed long enough to become the first person. I think 90% of the time, it's a time issue. You will, if you stick long enough, we could have given up on Altura so long ago, but if you would have, if we would have given up before we faked it until we made it, right? We said we were software developers. We had this platform. We really didn't. It was just kind of like a group chat. And now it is a platform. And now we're, improving it every day. But if we would have given up before it was that, we would have just been lying to ourselves. And the next business we started, we would have went in lives and it wouldn't have worked either. So it's just kind of like you're building momentum in different directions. I think you guys got to really get that down. Anthony made a really good point. Go back and like rewatch that if it didn't make sense, but we're not going to do a manifestation lesson. There's plenty of content on my YouTube channel to watch, but I want to talk about like what makes our platform different. And the first big feature that I think we should talk about with the rest of our time is the economy and why that's different from what ChatGPT has to offer and why it gives us more control. We have a token, right? A cryptocurrency. It's like Bitcoin, right? If you don't know what cryptocurrency is, it's called ALT, dollar sign alt, right? If you're looking for a ticker. And I need to be clear, right? This is not about speculation. This is not a meme coin going to the moon. This is utility. It is really, low valued right now. So there's a lot of potential there to be early. But at the core basis, it's real functional utility on the platform. And I need to break down what it does because that's what utility is. First, you guys can take this crypto and you can trade it in for access. Instead of paying a $20 monthly fee for the platform, right? Like any other AI tool, along with all the other features you get, you can pay a discounted rate and use the token. That right there creates a utility behind it. Well, then if you guys stake it, meaning if you invest it, right, and you just put it kind of like buying a bond at a bank, right, or a CD, we're going to give you guys 30% interest each year for holding it. That is literally the best investment you'll ever see probably publicly offered in its time that we're growing, or in probably most realms of investment ever, unless there's insider trading or massive speculation. This is a guaranteed 30% investment if you guys are one of the people that choose to stake. Put $1,000 in, a year later, it's $1,300. That's beating inflation 100 times over. You guys earn then while you use the platform. Your subscription cost, right, and your investment, some tokens becomes a return as you stake what's left. And Anthony, I mean, you know how staking works. Could you walk people through basically at a, dumbed down level what it means to stake something?
Yeah, you mentioned similar like a CDD before, or maybe like a treasury bond. The idea is that you go on Dex Screener, which is ran through Radium to purchase our all tokens. Let's say you buy, I don't know what it goes for right now. I don't know what our market cap is, but it doesn't matter. Let's say you go buy $1,000 worth of alt for the sake of math, and then through SoulScan, or is it FuelScan that you stake? Which platform am I thinking of?
It's through
I'll just pull up the website. Sorry, it's not that I don't know what I'm talking about. There's like a couple integrated things that
let me give like two sentences. The first, so what happens is, let's say there's 30 million tokens actually liquid right now, meaning 30 million are floating around on the market. Some people are selling them, some people are trying to buy them. There's 30 million that are up for grabs right now. There's technically a billion total, but 97% of that is pretty much locked away for us to grow later, so we can preserve the value of our token. We're not going to flood it with excess tokens to drop the value of the token. That's called dumping. That's what most projects do when they get people to buy. They take all your money and they run off into the wind. Ours is locked for 6 months, so we can't even like touch the tokens, let alone sell them, because we don't even have them right now. So the 30 million that are floating out there, when you stake them, you guys take, let's say 5 million tokens that you own out of the 30 million, right? Let's say you own a big chunk. You guys remove that, so there's only 25 million by taking the 5 million and agreeing to like lock them away, just like the rest of our tokens. Now there's only 25 million, and there's the same amount of like people wanting to buy them and sell them, right? So the value goes up, and then we give you guys a small piece of that prize for the value going up by doing that and allowing our token price to grow. Because the same amount of tokens still exist. You're basically just agreeing not to sell yours, so we can see a higher value come in. And that allows the platform itself to get more traction, right? Because it's tied to our crypto. Did I miss anything?
no. Streamflow is the software.
Streamflow. Yeah, and that's linked on our, crypto page on our website, which is down here if you guys want to click on it. Let me actually take it off because I want to give our clippers a clean, cut. Second, or we'll just go with the other big one is governance. Tokens create votes. 1,000 tokens right now gives you a vote on key decisions of what Altura does. Do we meet up in New York or LA next? Do we add, live streaming on our platform? Do we start giving money to you guys to start your businesses? All of these decisions are decided based on your votes. It's a democracy, a digital democracy. And you guys have a say in what features we build, what privacy standards we maintain. You don't get to go to Facebook's headquarters and tell them you don't want them to steal your data. You don't get to do that with ChatGPT. You guys get to do that with us, especially if you're early and there's not a lot of people. And here's the fundamental difference. Most platforms, you guys pay monthly, right? like ChatGPT, and you own nothing. You actually give them more value on top of that. You're paying them to steal your data. You're renting access. And here, you guys are in a position where the network is the asset. You can sell your tokens, right? You can sell your NFT, which is like a lifetime membership pass if you guys want to buy those too. You can stake your tokens to earn interest and get paid to use our platform. You can vote on the future of it. You're not a subscriber, you're an owner behind this movement. And so for the first time ever, it's a community where we're not just raking you guys over like Andrew Tate or like school communities, right? We are actually building value for you guys by bringing the founding fathers of the American Revolution on this platform together with our lanterns riding through the woods at night to encourage people to take up arms and to do something about this fact that your privacy is being taken from you. Nobody else is leading a movement, and so it's basically up to us to do something about it. And I don't see anybody else building a platform to do it. So I said, I'm just going to do it so I know that it's safe and that my data and everyone else's is protected. Because I don't believe half the other bullshitters out there when they say that they're actually in it for your interest. But Anthony and I, I know Anthony trusts me. We both have our backgrounds, right? You can look us up. I'm not going to, state everything we've done, but we are credible people and we want the best for this. And I think it has to be somebody that really didn't want to do it in the first place. Like, it would have been nice to just join a platform where I knew I was secure, but I didn't see other people doing it. And that's really at the heart of it. What service is, right? Is doing something even if you don't want to have to do it. And I know you know that for sure too. What's your take on the ownership piece? Like, how is that different from what you've seen elsewhere in other communities?
Uh, I have never seen ownership in another community ever, actually. I think this is a really unique thing we've come up with where it's like, instead of it being like any other subscription service where like if you make one wrong move or something that they perceive as a wrong move, you miss a payment on time. They just revoke your access. That's it. The only other thing I've seen that like you actually own the thing would be like back in the day when you would pay like $1 per song or whatever to have it downloaded on your iPod. But that's not even comparable with like the value we offer. I mean, it's just music compared to, the operating system, the executive assistant through our AI tool, real world events, the network to find, people to build your personal network out of is just by joining the community. All those things, just as a quick overview, represent like can be owned is what's crazy. Like not just given access to, but like owned either through tokens or through NFT access, which we're not pushing heavily right now, but still is an option.
What's crazy is you not only own it, but you own the utility that grows with the platform. So if you own it sooner, you also watch that ownership grow into literal money in your pocket. As long as we continue building the momentum behind it, is that if everyone plays the game and participates in the system and builds this together, we're going to change the fucking world. And everyone that saw the vision early, just like any other time in life, and actually committed to that identity, like we've been saying, they're the ones that will ride this wave to the top and will set themselves up forever, really, if you're really early.
Yeah. Yeah, and they own. I mean, obviously, we're not classifying anything we sell as an investment either. But let's say that you join while it's early, and it comes to be something that, like other communities we've seen in the past with cryptos, or with NFT projects, it comes to be that the utility gained by being a member of this community is like so high and so elite and so exclusive, that people begin to be willing to pay a lot more to have access to such a thing. You also own the rights to then resell your ownership, your stake of the access to everything we've developed. You then, because you own it, I mean, you can do whatever you want with it. It's like a house, right? Nobody's telling you can't sell the house later if you wanted it, if it appreciated value. Not to say that's what's going to happen. We're not even dipping our toes in like the classification of anything we offer as an investment. It's just purely like we chose to do this option because it solves the same problem we've been having with, or that we've seen with the privacy with ownership. It's kind of all under the same umbrella of the fact that it's difficult to make it, and it's difficult to have sole ownership and sole rights, and to escape being constantly monitored unless you actually have true ownership of what it is you're working with. So that's why we chose to develop it in that way. And I think, like I said, I haven't heard anybody else that's doing that, or even incorporated that business model. It's much more profitable probably to not do that, because if somebody's causing a problem, or if somebody's, for any reason, you can just shut it off, and it doesn't matter because your users are replaceable. But in an ecosystem where there's a set amount of users that can never be a part of it, like ours, and they all have actual ownership of it, maybe it's less profitable for us, and that's not really the goal anyway. But that's something we meticulously thought out, because that's how we would want it to be if we were somebody that was told about this idea, um, and joined instead of developed it ourselves.
Yeah. To be honest, like everything we talked about tonight is like in information warfare. And you guys are to be honest, most, even myself, right? We're just pawns on the battlefield of people with a lot of money. The Zuckerbergs that own Facebook that are changing the algorithms. And I think really that the creator economy, the person with the webcam that makes it on the other side, has shrunk drastically within the last 5 years, probably the last year even. The creator economy is just broken. Platforms take everything. They rob you. Even WHOP.com, the platform that Iman Gadji invests in, right? What's this guy's name? Sam something. I can't remember the Sam Kitchens is his name, right?
Something like that.
I don't know, but I think it's Sam Cook. That might be right. Something about the kitchen, something about making food, but some like the people that own those platforms keep the fees, and they're still selling you as the product. The algorithms decide who wins. The algorithms decide who you like and who you hate, what content goes on your feed. Most people don't question anything. And people like me that are constantly looking at the bigger picture, constantly trying to piece together patterns, that see things going on in society, in politics, in life, in war, in love, in hate, in media. It pisses me off that most people are pretty ignorant, and especially in making money. Creators, is where I find my passion. I've always helped creators. I've consulted creators, right? Creators, like I said, take 6.5 months to earn their first dollar. But what if we flipped it? That was my question that kind of started all this. Like, what if our community could build together? And what if we could inspire each other to find the strategies that actually win and not worry about ChatGPT looking over your shoulder to censor you or to pull that data away from you or lied to you for all we know? What if you owned the fact that the system exists because of you? And what if you knew you could control it to give you the truth, even if it meant it was going to lose money? That is Altura, and you control your data. What if our community could earn, money by creating clips, right, of content and help us grow like this podcast? I think the next wave of creators, probably Anthony, you'd probably agree already, but I'd say the next wave of account holders and creators, it used to be Instagram, pages where you'd post little thumbnails or memes. Then it was like, the TikTok reels and stuff, real creators. This all started with Vine back in the day, of course. But now it's like not influencers at all. It's clippers. It's people with millions of followers that never show their face, that take these long form contents, and they're distributors. The money's in distributing content and turning it into viral moments that inspire people or show them something about the world. That infrastructure is what's paying out now, and it's shifting. And, we're part of that too. Anthony, we got to obviously plug, we're about to plug here, our brand new system. So for anybody watching that's already in our community on WAP, because that's the host of all of content clipping right now, we decided to challenge, WAP, and we built our own system. Here's how it works. There's this full system on our platform. Let me put it back up here. Down here on Altura Society, if you guys go on and sign up and make a free account, real-time earnings. So you guys make a clip of this podcast. We'll show you how to do it. You post it, and we pay you for the views it gets. And then you see exactly how much money or you can get paid out in our tokens that you've earned. Weekly contests, leaderboards, so the best people get recognized. If you guys choose tokens over cash, you're going to get double the payout. 10 to 30 second clips is really all it could take, distributed effectively, to give you guys the income and the opportunity to change your life. Anthony, you've been watching the numbers come in even just today. It's been live for 1 day. What are you seeing from the clippers already? And what are you seeing with this system?
Yeah. Honestly, we kind of had a discussion when we first put it out, and I was a little bit more skeptical. I was like, I don't know if this is the right move. I think we might as well just keep it in WAP. But Caleb kind of laid out the vision for what he saw and why, and we decided it made sense to put it on. And I've been super surprised so far. I mean, we've got people joining in, double digits here, which I thought was less far. I thought it'd be far less than that actually, but people are kind of taking on to this really quickly. And honestly, more people are signing up than like clippers we've been receiving submissions from in WAP. So I'm not sure how that's possible. But there's people. That's pretty much a steady inflow of people since we posted it. Um, Even just today, like a day after we put it on as live, that are making accounts on the platform, which is good for everybody involved because clippers too, again, in and of themselves are entrepreneurs. If you think about it, like it's even if it's just a side hustler, if you're doing it for a few quick bucks, either way, like it could be something you scale if you wanted, and we're equipped to help those people, even just by what we offer for our entrepreneurial tool suite, things like that. But for this program specifically, like we're already seeing submissions that are pretty solid stuff. I mean, they're clipping up podcasts like this, they're clipping up YouTube or Caleb's YouTube stuff, they're clipping up things from the past, and they're posting it, and it's gaining traction. And we've already had just on WAP like 3 previous campaigns that got filled within like a week of having them, which is some crazy. That doesn't happen for a lot of new communities.
Yeah.
So either that makes us not a new community anymore, which I think is we're getting closer to that being the reality, with just enough recognition to people that see us on the marketplace for WAP and on our platform and are like, yeah, I've heard of these guys. Soon that's going to be just in the general marketplace for entrepreneurial education and resources as well. But yeah, it had a pretty steady inflow so far. People are doing good things. They're making money. And
Had a
those
few
that are,
dozen people joined us today too. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying is upwards of like I think closer to 30 now than it was.
it's about 3 dozen right now at this point today.
I thought you said a dozen. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's more than that, but yeah. Um, but then too, like they're getting distributed alt as their payment option because we're offering double if you want to. And right now it's like $2 per 1,000 views, which is already a pretty good rate. Most other clipping communities are only doing like $1.50, even 50 cents for 1,000 views. We're paying 2, but if you get paid out in alt, it's 4, which is $4 worth of alt is that's nothing to sneeze at if you're a decent clipper and you're getting thousands of views consistently on your stuff.
Right.
So
And you guys can automate this process too. And like, right, like a decent video that blows up, let's say it gets 10,000 views, that would be $80 that you guys made for a video that probably took like 5 minutes to make with a clipping automation system, right? Which we'll show you how to set up and stuff. So it's crazy. And like, I think the bigger thing that's great about clipping is like Anthony and I both know the struggle of I have like 5 lights set up right now. I have lights I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. I have a microphone I paid for, $1,000 camera, production software. That's really expensive. If you guys are doing what I did and investing all your money from your job, you better have a good paying job and you better be willing to go in the hole and pay a lot of debt off to do it. It's not fun. It's not easy. And the better way to start is not put yourself in a position where you're struggling from day one. Make money doing what's going to help you anyway. If you want to be the person behind in front of the camera, you got to be the person behind it and learn how to actually make good content. And the best way to do that is not worry about filming it. Just worry about editing first. Then you can start to figure out how the content's filmed. You can start worrying about what videos are actually worth making, what types of videos pop off, and then when you get on the other side of the camera sitting here, you guys know what to make. And so don't start like throwing yourself to the lions basically trying to create a channel and put thousands of dollars into it. Start learning the basics, and that's the best way. Or just stay at this level and make 5 accounts, and you can create a full-time income through posting on YouTube, on TikTok, and we all grow in the process. Plus, if you own our crypto and get paid out in it, as our platform grows from what you're doing, you're going to see your payouts exponentially grow because the crypto itself is going to go massive as the platform gains traction and utility to boost the value. So it's literally, you guys could, if you play this right, put yourself in a very, very, very significant financial position. If the platform grows the way we're going to promote it here, if the members come in, and if you guys are positioning yourself with long-term belief and action, that's the only thing that sets you free. And I think by tonight, right, if we talked about ChatGPT's problems, we talked about founders being burned out, we talked about how far, and why identity has to come before your income. All of these lessons, that should be the core thing. Stop chasing, start becoming. That's it. That's the whole thing. Everything else is just tactics. And Anthony, like one more time, if you were brand new to all of this, would you want to start like hopping right into all of this, or would the new you try to learn? Would they try to mentor, to shadow, and be in a place where they could develop these skills? What makes the most sense?
I mean, you can just think about it, like, why is it that if you were to approach something like, say you wanna get into a martial art, I mean, you wouldn't just go in there and without any training, without any talking to people that have done it for a while, without any, like, watching, at least watching UFC or something, um, just go in there and get your butt handed to you. Like, you wouldn't that's not how you approach that. So why is it different when it comes to, like, the way you say you want to make money? Um, well, it's different because maybe that's not the person you are right now, but that doesn't mean it has to stay that way. Doesn't mean it has to be. Maybe you do have that entrepreneurial spirit at heart and you actually do want to be in control of your finances, your time. And creating is just kind of your personality. I guess that's what it comes down to too. But it's more of an issue of maybe that's my set personality, but I don't really know how to implement that. It's to your detriment to just not spend any time trying to figure out what kind of additions to your capability make, how you need to look at this actually work. Um, but far more important than just Googling like the actual hard tactical things that business owners do. Because at the end of the day, like there's not really a set blueprint. That's why there's not, right? Because there's not one way to make a business happen. If that were true, everybody would do it. What is what is true is that everybody who has done it has the ability to, like, no matter what the task is, I'll put it to you this way, they'd probably succeed in any industry. It's rarely because they're like so specialized and good at one thing that they can do it so often and make money that way. It's because they think about it differently. It's because they don't just see things as like tasks and to-dos for what they are. They see every single thing as a step towards success. Um, they see everything as an opportunity. They see vision where they see opportunity where other people just see, raw materials, for example. So you got to figure out how to think like that and how to perceive yourself like that is that kind of person instead of just always, you know, it's almost like a shortcut. Like we're willing to do that because we're not willing to do that because that takes time. But I'll just tell you this right, it's not going to be any different than for yeah.
That was Anthony Jiu-Jitsu Pump Part right there, by the way. Sharing
I
his
chose martial arts because I'm one of those people that gets their butt handed to on the daily. But
yeah, that's part of growing. I remember doing that. That was the most intense workouts I've had. I I just want to say thank you to everybody that's watching, especially really early. These days are going to be the days that are be the glory days, right? Someday when we're speaking at conferences, when we're all over YouTube, when you guys are tired of seeing us on Instagram Reels, you guys are going to look back at these videos and be like, "Oh my God, they look so young. They look like they had so much, energy and passion for all of this, and they looked like they were hungry for it." We are, and I have 100% confidence that, especially after today and seeing people come on and start engaging and stuff, we're in the fun part. We're in the rewarding part that comes after all of this, which is why I structured this in this way today. The structure from a position of we've kind of been there. We're not fully there yet, but we're one step ahead, which is the perfect spot to be to lend a hand back. Not at the top of the hill, but just one step forward. And so trust me when I say the best gut instinct you're going to have from all of this content today is ask yourself what the person that's on the other side of this would do about the decision you have to make. Would they sleep in? Would they skip the gym? Would they eat that meal? Would they not eat that meal? Would they call that person? Would they go to that website? That's it. Just change your framework and eventually you'll change yourself. If you're watching, right? If you're listening to this, if you're one of the clippers finding moments, thank you. This community, the 8,888 elite founding members that are going to own the tokens among the many more that'll just use the platform, building in private while everyone else is still chasing clout. We're humble. We're estimating and creating what will be the future, an actual value. This isn't an accident, you being here. Even if you're just happening to bump on this years from now. I see people watching this in 2030, honestly. You guys are here and finding this because something in you already knows the way you've been doing it isn't enough. And you feel like you've been taken advantage of. And you're looking for something different. That's it. It's not like a flying, angel coming down from the sky. It's just the realization. That is it. Go to Altura Society. I'm going to put it up right here as our call to action. Go right here, right now, and sign up for free. If you're watching this after January 2025, download the Altura app from the App Store or Google Play Store. It will be on your phone, just like ChatGPT, but with protection. Everything we talked about tonight is the future. And if you guys want to be part of the content clippers that are making money while also getting these tools, head to alturasociety.com/content-clipping and apply, or it'll be on the website that's in the corner there. We're paying people to clip literally this episode right after we're done. This has been the, I guess, Ascended podcast. We're still calling it. Maybe we'll call it the Altura podcast, but I do like the Ascended theme. I think that's kind of a good move for us right now.
Yeah, it's a good reminder too from like the origins, the roots. I think OG listeners 5 years down the road they'll think that's cool.
Appreciate it. Yeah. The OG, just like Fortnite. I'm Caleb Schuelke. This is,
Yeah.
and until next time, guys, keep ascending, and I'm rooting for you. Take care.
See y'all.